Hello and welcome. I am Nancy Cooklin. I help people know themselves better so that they can reach their full potential, be it from a professional and a personal point of view. Today I have the honor to have with me Annette Brüls, who is the CEO of Medela. Hello, Annette.
Hey Nancy, nice to see you today.
I hope I mentioned your name correctly, Annette. And
Yes, it's always a struggle for everyone to pronounce it, but I think you just did very well.
and for whoever has kids, for any woman that has kids or any man that has kids knows the brand Medela that I personally love. You're in the right medical technology, especially it pumps for breastfeeding, correct?
That's exactly right. So Medela is the number one breast pump for moms and recommended by healthcare professionals. And we have been in this business for nearly 60 years now, really supporting moms and babies worldwide to give them the life-giving benefits of mother's own milk.
What a beautiful thing to work for. It's a cause that I completely support. Let's go down to the human leadership conversation, so we keep it short and sweet. In one of the conversations, you told me that there was a common thread to your leadership style, and let me go back a little bit, because you come from a big corporation in the United States, and then you chose, usually it's the other way around, right? We grow to bigger corporations, and you chose to, to go from a big corporation in the US, always in the biomedical, right? To then
Right.
come to Europe it was a family owned, it's been a family owned business for many years.
Yes.
And you took on board this challenge. So what is this common thread in your leadership style that makes it be successful in different environments?
Yeah, Nancy, I think that's a great question. As you said, I have been my entire career, more than 25 years in the meantime, in the medical device field. And until now, so until the beginning of 2018, always with US stock listed companies. And especially the last 12 years before Medela was one of the biggest and the largest medical device companies in the world. And making this step now was, of course, a big decision. It was a personal decision. We wanted to come back to Switzerland, having lived in the US, and going back to our roots in Europe, but also professional one. Having lived in the corporate world for so long, I thought it would be fascinating to experience a different environment, a family-owned company, but also having the opportunity to be really leading and shaping the future of such a company, being the CEO. And I have evolved from research to clinical studies, marketing, sales, business management. So really working in many different areas and in different continents around the world. And I think if I would have to say what has always made me successful, at least to a certain point, was the ability to create a successful team around me. And no matter which function, no matter where I was, it's really the ability to have a strong team where we are all in the same boat, we are owning our destiny, we are moving forward together. And having that, I think, has been the common thread of my success. And it's not always easy to build that, because when you're new in an environment which is very different, that's really the first thing I do. And I aim to have that around me to really move things forward.
This is beautiful. Thank you. And I have heard that from people that work in your team, that they coincide with what you're saying. So what do you mean? I mean, so you're saying this, but how do you do it? What are the keys? And going through my notes of our conversations, you said once, leading from within. What do
Yes.
you mean exactly by leading from within?
You know, I think it's a couple of things. I think, first of all, you know, I have been in many positions new. And many times, especially, you know, early in my career, I was definitely the youngest, probably often only the only women around the table. And so, you know, that really makes you shape your leadership style in a different way. And for me, the most important thing has been first building trust. So people have to know that you are here because you want to support them, you want to make the business grow, you want to have them feel successful. And if they see that you're in it not for yourself, but for the greater good, I think that's really building trust. And then the second thing is, I think for me, is to be very authentic. You know, you can see that if I have to think about how should I behave and what should I say and how should I shape myself into a different environment, I think I set myself up for failure. And I've seen that being in so many different areas, at the end you have to be yourself, because people sense when you're authentic. And hey, nobody is perfect. You know, I'm not perfect. I don't know it all. Guess what? Nobody does. And so at the end, I think there is a high level of appreciation from people to see your leader being authentic and potentially also vulnerable, you know, not knowing it all. And on the contrary, make sure that we are all working together on the same thing. So it's that trust, that authenticity. And then, of course, you know, also the knowledge. You know, I'm not going into jobs where I don't know anything about. I always pride myself in, you know, trying to understand the different fields. And at the end, people respect that a lot. You know, they see I convince through knowledge and engagement. I think that's really what I try to do. And I try to learn from every interactions to build my knowledge, expand. And again, I don't know it all by far, but I try to at least understand the things, listen to the people, learn from it, and trying to make sense out of it. And I think that's what people appreciate.
Definitely. It's definitely appreciated. And as you said, people sense it, right? It's not what you say, but who you are and what you represent.
Mhm.
So I grabbed the opportunity to ask you, so how do you keep yourself authentic, in a world, you are a mother of two boys, men,
Yeah.
your husband, and in a role of leadership, there's always so much expectation. So how do you keep yourself centered and authentic, and how do you juggle this work life?
Yeah, I think it's not always easy, right? So I think the authenticity for me is not a problem, because I have early on already in my career, I've said, to myself, you know, I'm just gonna be who I am, and you know, I cannot adjust to whoever is the audience, and I think it's especially as a female leader, it sets you up for failure if you try to do that. So being authentic, I just, you know, drive that conversation with every employee that I meet, you know, in the same way. I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not, but I'm always looking at everybody I interact with at eye level, you know, and I try to understand what they're doing, try to be interested, learn from every interaction. And I think that keeps things very authentic and real, because I always try to put myself in the other shoes, you know, the person opposite of myself, trying to understand, you know, what are they dealing with, how are they thinking about things, what can I learn from this, how can I help them to get better. So I think that's very important. Then, you know, when it comes to work-life balance, yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. um, One thing that I really try to do is to have different drawers. You know, I see myself as a, you know, a person with different drawers. I have my work drawer, and when I go home, I close that and I open the family drawer, and that's where I am. And I managed to actually be able to switch quite easily between different situations and let go of things. You know, not always. Sometimes, you know, things are just
Right.
keeping
That's
spinning in your mind.
wonderful.
But I really try to do that, because otherwise, these jobs are all consuming.
Yes.
And if you don't do that, then I think it gets very difficult. So that's what I try to do. and I'm a different person at home. I'm pretty relaxed. I can just do nothing for a while, and I think that's good.
Now that you say that you have different drawers, there's a sculpture that Salvador Dali
Yes,
made. Have you
yes, yes.
seen
I
it? So
Yeah,
you said that because when I first saw it, like I did a whole article, I talked about it in the first book I wrote, because that stayed in my mind so strongly, and that's exactly what it is. No, that we have so many drawers, and we put different things in, but they're all part of us.
they're all part of us, but you have to juggle in between them, because if they're all open all the time, then I think it gets very difficult. Mhm.
Yes, it does get very difficult. So Annette, who has inspired you as a human leader in your career? You said you've had so many bosses, and everyone teaches us something different, right? Or similar, but in different behaviors and ways. Can you think of somebody that has particularly inspired you, and how?
Yes. So I have had many different bosses, as I said, and I've been extremely fortunate to have been working with a lot of very inspiring leaders. And I'm very thankful for that, because as I said, I have had many different jobs, and many times, I was probably not the obvious candidate for these jobs. I was maybe not the most qualified person, maybe not the most experienced one, but somehow these leaders saw something and they pulled me out and said, "Hey, I believe you should do this." And then I did it. And I think they gave me a chance, even when I was not the most obvious candidate. And I think that's something that I've learned from many of these leaders over time. And I love to do that as well. I love to give people a chance to do something different, to evolve their career, switching between functions or countries or different responsibilities, because I think it's such a wonderful experience and it helps you grow. And once you have people succeed outside of their comfort zone, you can see just how much more they can take on, and the passion and the dedication that goes with it. So that's definitely something I learned from my different leaders, and I'm thankful for that. I'm trying to do the same. Yeah, I have had a couple of, I early on I was one of my maybe one of the highly inspiring leaders was somebody named Nicky Spalding. He was the president of Europe. He was from one of the medical device companies I was working with. He just showed how authenticity and being who you are can really move people, and how he could inspire everyone to listen to him, to follow him, and we were achieving amazing results just by being so inspired. So I think he was definitely one who inspired me and many other people. And then, lately, I have to say Omar Ishrak. He has been the CEO of Medtronic for many years, and I have just been impressed about his leadership style. Very very thoughtful. It's never about his ego, always asking the right questions, showing interest in every single activity and every single person, and just being inspirational by his thoughtfulness and thoroughness and fairness.
These are all words that you use to describe your common threads. No, it's amazing how we join our dots, and how people inspire us in different ways, even if we don't realize. And that's what you're doing. The capacity of a successful leader is to create other leaders. And this is what you said. Trust that people can do. Sponsor people so that they trust themselves that they can do it. This is such a beautiful common
That's
thread.
exactly right.
Interesting characters. That's fascinating. So Annette, being a woman, this conversation comes up. Being a woman in your role maybe not in Medela, but in the Medtronic world, mostly a men's world. What do you think of this capability of leading as a woman?
Yeah, I think I'm a big supporter of women and helping women to thrive and have a career. I've been on this other side of the table for many years, and I think there's tremendous opportunities for women out there, and we have a lot of characteristics that shape our leadership styles that can make us very successful, and they are different than some of our female colleagues. But then when you combine them and have diverse teams that work together, that's where the magic happens. And so I am, especially at Medela, we are committed to support moms and babies on their journey and help them to get back into the work life and have a successful career. So that's obviously something that is core of our business and that I'm very supportive of. And I think the world is evolving in a positive way. And I would say to all these women, it is possible. You have just to stay authentic, believe in yourself, take a seat at the table, lean in. There are all these great words which are so true, and take a chance on yourself. And I think it's just fantastic and magic to see how in diverse environments team can thrive when everybody feels that they have a right to sit at the table. And so that's what I'm trying to facilitate also in my work environment. Give people a chance, make sure they step up, because a lot of female leaders don't do it by themselves. That's why they need a little push, but then working together as one team in an inclusive and diverse environment.
And you're doing it beautifully, Annette, because I see it. I see it with your team, and also the coherence of the product, right? Because the cycle of mothering, of newborn, and becoming, changing this identity of becoming a mother, and focusing 100% on our children, and losing ourselves in a certain way, but then it's about self-empowerment, about knowing that we can do it, knowing that it's possible, and just sitting at the table, as you say, and leaning, and you know don't let go of the accelerator, and just move forward. So I totally agree with you. I think we've all been on this same boat, whoever has kids, that it gets to a point where our priorities get confusing, and so it's
Mm.
important to go back to ourselves and lead for who we are. Go back to the authenticity, and to knowing ourselves, and have a clear vision. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, so let's go on to the Q&A, the quick Q&A. Okay, and we're all both good. So, human leadership,
Being authentic.
the future,
It's bright.
young generations,
They are our future.
working moms,
Believe in yourself. You can do it.
and working dads.
Support your working moms. You have to carry your weight.
So here are our 4 words that I use in my human leadership model. So I want to see what you think about them also. Awareness,
Extremely important, being aware and always trying to understand what's going on the other side shapes you, you learn from it, and keeps you real.
thank you. Creativity,
Very important, you have to be passionate and creative. If it doesn't go left, go right, there has to be a way.
courage,
Very important. I think you have to be courageous, moving forward. Don't look back. Don't ask too many questions. Just trust yourself and go.
and systemic thinking.
I think it's actually an advantage of being a female leader. We see the whole system. We have a global view. We are less, less narrow in our way of thinking. And I think it's great because you have a much bigger sense of what's going on and how things fit into the bigger picture. So I think it's an important characteristic.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is, I really thank you for your time, and it has really been a pleasure. You're super inspiring, and really, I like your practicality. You talk about knowledge. You talk about a thoughtfulness through this other boss that you talked about trust. So I really thank you. I hope there would be many clones of you that lead the way.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. This has been really inspiring, a lot of fun, and thank you for what you are doing, helping people to get better every day.
We're all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.